You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Oh, you know we had to do a special podcast episode just rounding out some of the hot topics of the week. Happy New Year, everyone. First of all, we have to start off with the breaking news about this Mary Cosby documentary. And then I can tell you guys that I had no idea that I was in the documentary. So thank you to everyone that hit me up and let me know. But only come to find out that multiple content creators, people that I know, that I'm friendly with, were also featured in the documentary and had no idea that they were going to be featured. Giorgio says, who was also featured in the documentary, they gave him a different name. They gave him Zachary Reality's name as the creditor. My thing is, if you had reached out to someone and let someone know that you were going to put them in the documentary, all of those things could have been correct. Which for me makes it look like, okay, this documentary is a sloppy job. You guys did a sloppy job. It has no credibility. And I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all because based off of the previews that we saw and we talked about on my multiple panels and channels, that the documentary didn't seem like it had substance that was new. Yes, there are some things that stand out and that make you kind of go, what's going on at that church? But none of which was new. Based on what I've seen so far, I have not watched the full documentary. But what I have seen for myself is the fact that I'm in the documentary multiple times. Not once, not twice. And look, I've been featured in documentaries before. A lot of times they reach out and get permission. Do they always have to? Not necessarily, especially if they're only using a short portion of your video under fair use. Like in the Tubi documentary, they used like a short clip from one of my TikToks in the Diddy documentary, which I didn't make a big deal about. I was like, whatever, I'm there for 5 seconds. However, I've been utilized multiple times, I think in just the first episode of this documentary about Mary Cosby. And mind you, these videos are from when we first started hearing about the documentary, well, about the church. And we were reporting and talking about, like, look, that's my job. I talk about all the things. But I was shocked to find out they use not just my TikToks, they've utilized also YouTube videos. And when I was on other people's panels. So I already found it to be very interesting how they decide to use this. But the other side of this is that they had their PR firm reach out to me a couple of weeks ago about reviewing the video before it comes out to promote it. Not to say that I'm in it at all. There was no indication that I was even in it. They reached out to me to ask me to help promote this video. So you guys are already doing shoddy work in regards to this. You don't tell me that I'm even in it or receive my permission or to release any of that. And shout out to the Bravo docket, our friends over the Bravo docket. They literally said in the comment section of Giorgio's video, because Giorgio was the first one to put out a video talking about this. And I love what they said here because it's important because so many people can be like, oh, it's fair use, it's fair use. The Bravo docket says this: fair use isn't a blanket clause for public videos. It's a case-by-case analysis, and documentaries can still infringe if they rely on creators' content instead of transforming it. So I was like, thank you. Let the attorneys speak instead of, oh, it's fair use, it's fair use. You can't just claim fair use on people's content. Same when we utilize other people's content. That's why I was like, I don't make a big deal about utilizing content because we utilized content before, but we are making and transforming it into something for our own use. And usually we reach out or cite our source. I can't say the same for them. But anyway, I have some more hot topics. We talked about a bunch of different hot topics. So many of you. Shout out to our podcast fam. This is a one-stop shop for you for all the stories that we covered this week. So here's a roundup of some hot topics that span. I'm giving you an update on Candiace, on her possible return to Real Housewives of Potomac, if that's even possible. Giving you an update on this whole Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees of it all. We covered a lot. And Charisse speaking out about Ashley and the show. And there's so much that we covered this week. So I hope you enjoy this special New Year, New Me episode in regards to what's been going on this week. Happy New Year. Ashley Darby has a response for Charisse Jackson Jordan's recent interview with Carlos King. And she basically feels like Charisse is getting buck after the camera's gone down. And she confirms that she didn't break the law by being with Jackson. Not only that, it looks like Mendeecees would like to meet Funky Dineva outside after Funky revealed some sort of romantic relationship between Mendeecees and Tamar Braxton. So it was just this morning that we dropped a video updating you on some of the things that Charisse had to say about what played out on Real Housewives of Potomac this week. And since then, I've had an opportunity to watch the entire interview. Has it changed my mind about what I said about Charisse? Actually, it hasn't. Because I said, you know what, let me listen to the full interview. Let me see if Charisse is going to convince me. This was an opportunity for Charisse to talk more about how the show started and why she was so integral to starting Real Housewives of Potomac. And basically, she's in a toxic relationship with the show. That's why she keeps going back. No, you keep going back because you're interested in the attention and the fame that it gets you. You're now switching up on this whole situation with Ashley and your son. You were saying that you didn't believe that it actually happened. I will say this. I do believe her when she's brought different ideas of storylines to the producers and they've said no, they much rather focus on the things that they focus on, which, quiet as it's kept, has probably not done really well for the show. And I do believe Charisse when it comes to the fake storylines that Ashley and Giselle are doing, or the fact that Ashley is a liar. She said that consistently, that Ashley is a liar. And she, when asked by Carlos whether or not she had any friends left on the show, she basically said, not really. She mentions that she knew Stacey before the show, which is very interesting when you see the things that she was willing to say about Stacey on the show. That's why I can't with Charisse, because she's talking out two sides of her face. One minute you're on the show and you're good friends with Giselle and Ashley and you're sitting down and filming scenes with them. The next minute you're talking about Stacey behind her back on the show saying, oh, this heifer trying to get with a married man. Now in this Carlos interview, like, I knew Stacey. Now that you know that Stacey's a fan fave, I knew Stacey before the show. I gave her advice. It looks like she took that advice. I don't want to take credit for it. You are very much like Giselle and Ashley. So that's why when I'm looking at, I'll be talking on the fence this entire video. Because when I look at both sides, I'm not team any of them. And this is exactly why I'm never team anyone besides myself. Because all of them have their own ill intentions for being on this show. And when people say that Charisse is thirsty, before I was like, you know what? People always want to throw out that thirsty word. But Charisse, you are the epitome of thirst when it comes to being on this show. You will do anything and befriend anyone.
That is funny.
We literally were saying this a couple of years ago when Giselle brought you to be her bodyguard, basically, and catalyst to start drama with Karen Huger. So this is where it's important to remember some of the behaviors of this person. Apparently, she also said in this interview that she has suggested to producers that she should have a sit down with Monique. You didn't want to really resolve anything with Monique. You knew that this would be good television. And to be honest with you, Charisse, because I know you're going to watch this, I would prefer to see that conversation. Because let's be honest, the real root of some of what was going on that season that Monique was there really began with you. But in this moment where you talk about, you made the suggestion to producers, it just solidified for me, you just want to be on the show. And look, yes, you are an OG. You are the beginning of all of this, the casting of all of this. So I'm never going to take that away from you. And I think part of what is happening here, sidebar, she did say that Giselle was jealous of Nene. She should be. She should be jealous of Nene. And she probably is threatened the fact that Nene might come back to the network because all of these housewives are clamoring to be Andy Cohen's fave. They are. I'm telling you right now. This is why I always warn these housewives. When you're the moment and people are praising you and they're giving you all the praise, the fans, they're also doing this strategically behind the scenes over there at Bravo, allegedly, I'll say. They're hyping you up in order to play into this sort of cattiness amongst the cast and cattiness amongst the other housewives. Hence what you see on Watch What Happens Live. All right, I've digressed. We could have a longer conversation when it comes to stuff like that. So I watched the full interview, and y'all know how much it took for me to sit through that interview. But I did, okay? Even I got my nails done, too. Look. I got my nails done and my pedicure done. It's a new year. You got to start the new year with something fresh, right? You got to start the new year with something fresh. So I did. Okay. What should I have for dinner? What is a good dinner? You guys will let me know in the chat. What's a good dinner for the new year? A good dinner. Someone said lentils, grapes. I got some grapes already. I may need to get some lentils. All right, I've digressed. Speaking of digressing, though, topics like this one is one of the topics that we will be discussing come Friday, March 13th at the Kempire After Dark, a live show. Go get your tickets today. We'll be at the Green Room 42. There are meet and greet tickets available. But if you can't come to New York City, maybe you are across the pond and you still want to be a part, you could get a live stream option. This is the only show that we've ever done that has a live stream option. And you guys always show up and show out. Get your tickets today. You get to keep that live stream for a week. So even if you come to the show, and then look, I'm not trying to have you guys pay for all the things, but I'm just saying sometimes when you're in the moment versus being able to watch it back later, because all of y'all probably still waiting to watch the Philly show and the other New York show that I haven't released yet because a brother is busy. So if you don't want to have to wait on me, this is your opportunity to watch our live show. All right. I promise to release the New York City show and the Philly show at some particular point. Oh, and the DC show. I have video of the DC show too. Don't ask me about any other cities, guys. No other cities are coming for 2026. Just saying, I've been on tour for the last 2 years. This year, this is the only show. The only show. Go get your tickets today if you haven't already. More information on the Kempire After Dark. One night only. One night only. Tickets will be available in the description. So back to Real Housewives of Potomac. So Charisse did this interview with Carlos, and it's gained a lot of traction. So Ashley Darby decided to release her own statement. And after watching the statement multiple times, I know Ashley is so unlikable. She's become so unlikable. So she decided to come to the internet and said, "Nuck if you buck, Charisse." She never said Charisse's name, but this is what she had to say in response to the backlash that she's been receiving since revealing on the show, like 2 years later, that she had relations with Jackson.
And I don't usually come to social media. It's not my thing. This is not what I have social media for, but there's obviously a lot of discourse about me. I will say that I appreciate people who maintain the same energy that they had during the season.
I don't feel like there's a lot of discourse. Yes, people have their opinions, and look, maybe they're in her comment section, and I don't know. But I feel like the fact that Charisse is talking about it, and now Ashley's responding to it, I feel like that is what's making this narrative continue. And honestly, Charisse said when she sat down with Giselle and Ashley, they actually had like a really nice friend moment, and they never used any of it. The only thing they used from that was this whole conversation about Jackson. So the production already knew what they wanted to focus on with this particular situation. But again, I always say this to you, Charisse, you're not new to this. So you already knew that whole situation could have been anything. And I'm not saying that Charisse needed to do anything in this, because I know some people are saying Charisse should have stood up and cussed Ashley out for being with her son. I'm not going to even say that because, again, two grown adults. Do I think it's weird and odd that Ashley would do that with her quote, friend, son? I do. And I do feel like if the tables were reversed, I keep saying this, keep watching, Charisse. If the tables were reversed and it was Michael Darby, I know there's a bigger age difference, flirting, kissing, smooching, sleeping with one of Giselle's daughters, that would never make it to television because Giselle would have a fit behind the scenes. Like she had a fit behind the scenes at BravoCon when Andy made a joke about her. Just saying.
In the off season, I find it very odd for people who get all buck when the cameras go down. Very strange behavior to me, number one. Number two, I am a consenting adult, thankfully, who only engages with other consenting adults. And if we want to get into the nuances of that, that's fine. But consenting adult to consenting adult, always and forever, okay? So that's it, y'all.
This is the part that was really confusing to me. I'm like, consenting adults? Did someone say that you broke the law? I was confused. But all right.
I'm going to say about the issue right now, I'm not one to engage on social media like that. It's never been my forte. I will be perched and ready sitting on the couch at the reunion. I'm happy for anyone else who needs to use this opportunity for their 15 minutes of fame. Love for you to have that. Enjoy that. I also can acknowledge and take ownership of something that I maybe did wrong in a situation, but what I will not take ownership of is a false rumor or narrative about me that is completely untrue. I abide by the law. I respect the law. I don't do anything that violates the law, and I'm going to continue that way. So let's not perpetuate that, because it's never been true and never will be true.
Okay. Who said that she broke the law? Did anyone say that she broke the law? If anything, people said you broke girl code, maybe. Friend code. I don't know about breaking the law. I felt like this was a reach. And maybe because in the Carlos King interview with Charisse, she said the situation between Ashley and her son almost felt incestuous. So maybe that's what she's saying. But okay, Ashley, I don't think there was anything that you could have said that was going to make the situation any better or worse for yourself. Well, maybe this made it worse for you. But I'm just like, okay, girl, so unlikable. Between her, I mean, the other thing that stood out for me in this Carlos King interview was the fact that Giselle and Ashley make fake storylines, which we talked about in the previous video. And basically what Charisse was alluding to was the fact that she feels like someone on the cast has been trying to push her out since the beginning. Who, Giselle? The same. At this particular point, say her name. Because why are we playing these games? Oh, because you still would like a position on the show. You still would like to come back. I will say after this interview, I don't see you come back because now you don't have a connection to anyone on the cast. And technically, she really always will because she is an actual Potomac socialite. But the two people that would have probably possibly brought you back, Karen's not going to bring you back. Stacey's not in a good place with you unless Nneka comes back, because y'all keep trying to make that happen. She did talk about her friendship with Nneka. I don't see her coming back. And I really felt like Giselle was trying to keep making Charisse a thing by constantly bringing her around. But it feels like, no, Giselle kept on trying to use Charisse as for whatever things. Someone that you could kick around and use as the running joke. I don't know. But I wish Charisse, and maybe this probably would have made people want to see you come back, is the fact that you would call out Giselle and be like, well, no, Giselle's the one who's always plotting and planning and doing all these things. We've seen it. We've seen it multiple seasons. And this is why I've said I literally was just rewatching when Candiace confronted Giselle about the accusations around her husband, Chris. And I was like, the way that Giselle was able to skirt by that, and how dangerous that is. I will never forget that stuff. And for the one person in the comment section of my last video that said, Kempire, your hate for Giselle, I forgot what they said exactly, but I responded to them. Please understand, you're watching this of your free will. If you don't like my opinions on whatever I'm talking about, you can swipe on to the next one. But you value my opinion so much that you keep coming back. So I must be doing my job. I can talk about Giselle whichever way I want, and I will continue. I'm not going to shuck and jive so that you guys will continue to watch, because people continue to watch regardless. All right. Speaking of continuing to watch, the other day we did a video talking about this situation with Tamar Braxton, Mendeecees, Yandy Smith, Funky Dineva. Just so many things. And I'm not going to rehash any of that. If you're new to the channel, I've done multiple videos talking about this Tamar and Funky Dineva and Mendeecees situation. So Mendeecees recently did a radio interview and confirmed that he and Yandy are no longer together and that they never got married. Yandy did not want to marry him because initially when they first said that they were getting married, he had a lot of legal stuff going on. Then they decided to get married on television again and had that big wedding. But they decided not to move forward with doing it legally. Okay. Well, apparently, they've actually broken up. They're no longer together. Fast forward, after he revealed that, Tamar took to social media because she can never just let things just play out. She always has to bring the attention to her. She said all of you owe her monetary apologies. So she said, here's my Cash App. If you called me a liar, $10. If you called me a hoe, $20. If you called me a homewrecker, $30. If you called me a slut, no, I think a slut was $30. Homewrecker was still $20. How do I even remember that off the top of my head? I don't know. Elephant brain. So Tamar felt like she was vindicated. And we all were like, no, Tamar, at least with that first one, you being a liar, seems to be tracking. Because remember, Funky Dineva held on to this piece of information for months, even after he and Tamar had their back and forth. Funky then, in response to an interview she did with L'Oreal, was like, oh, fine, I'm going to let the entire clip out on you. And revealed who exactly went up with Tamar to her home, and that was the reason why he didn't go and escort Tamar back up to her apartment. He claims that he had seen Mendeecees and Tamar getting cuddly, smooching, him putting his hand between her legs during outings. So now Mendeecees in the same interview, I'm just seeing this clip now, in the same interview, is revealing that he'd like to see Funky. Wait, you want to fight? Is that what you're saying, Mendeecees? You want to fight Funky? Because he doesn't know what Funky's talking about. I don't know if I would ever believe Mendeecees either, okay? Because you got to pass, okay? You're not the most trustworthy. But okay, let me play for you with what he had to say.
The fear that you were pulling, I have no idea. You don't know what that is at all.
Part of the problem with this whole thing was, Tamar, is that I was never comfortable with the relationship that you and Mendeecees had in front of me. Do y'all want to know why I did not get out the car and go upstairs with Tamar when we got back to her house? Because after her and Mendeecees got through kissing in the back of that goddamn car, I figured they wanted to be up there privately.
When I see him, I ask him about that because I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
So I'm going to make sure I get that.
Wait. What about you and Tamar?
Nah.
What happened that night at the party?
Nothing happened.
Y'all was kissing?
Nothing happened.
Y'all was kissing.
Why do you guys think that he would deny it? Especially with Tamar saying now asking for monetary apologies. Why do you think? Do you think because the timeline of when that may have happened, Yandy and Mendeecees still may have been still figuring things out? Do you think that's what it is? Or could it be the fact that Tamar denied him in the L'Oreal interview? We played that clip for you too. She basically denied him in the L'Oreal interview. And was like, that's not my homie. We're cool, but that's not my homie. Is that why he wants to downplay whatever Funky's saying? Because here's the thing, too. Before Funky said anything, the streets were already talking about you and Tamar. That was one of the things that came to me after this whole thing blew up. You were like, oh, we're hearing multiple things that Mendeecees and Tamar were cuddled up at the club, et cetera, allegedly.
I want to ask this question a little differently.
Come on.
Because y'all just hitting him with these questions and he's like, right? I think it wasn't just that Funky Dineva came out and just said these allegations. It was his level of doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down on it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I really can't wait to see him. I pray I bump into him because I really want to ask these questions myself. But
So he never saw y'all kissing. Y'all wasn't even talking close. She had an ear part in, so he had to get close to make she hear you.
But you were single at this point. This was a few months ago. It ain't like y'all was together.
I mean, technically, if I wanted to, I could do anything I wanted to. I don't have to. I'm just not at this point. I'm answering this.
Pay attention to the words. Technically, I could do whatever I wanted to. There is no technical. There is no technical because you were never married. And you said that you guys are broken up. Because your response wouldn't be technically I could do what? No, it'd be I wasn't with the Yandy at that particular point. Or maybe he was with someone else. Maybe he was dating someone else and he doesn't want the plot thickens. Maybe he was dating someone else and he doesn't want them to think anything. Oh, the plot thickens. It's making more sense to me now. Because even if it's not Yandy, maybe he was talking to someone else. Oh, it makes sense now. Okay.
Somebody.
Right.
But that's not the case.
So he never saw y'all kissing. Y'all wasn't even talking close. She had an ear part in, so he had to get close to make she hear you.
But you were single at this point. This was a few months ago. It ain't like I was together.
I mean, technically, if I wanted to, I could do anything I wanted to. I don't have to. I'm just not at this point. I'm answering to somebody.
Right.
But that's not.
Here's the thing to future interviewers. I hate when interviewers, and no shade to them, I hate when interviewers answer questions for the person. I would not want to sit there and assume you were single a few months ago. Were you single a few months ago? Were you dating someone else? Is that why maybe? Are you dating anyone currently? I didn't see the full interview. Maybe they did ask those questions. I honestly only started to do this video now because I was waiting to see if Funky, but it's the holidays. So if Funky's taking time off, let Funky take its time off. But I was waiting to see if Funky was going to respond because you knew Funky's going to respond. And when he does, we will be covering it. Former Real Housewives of Potomac star Cerise Jackson Jordan is sitting down in an exclusive interview with Carlos King and basically saying the thing that happened between Ashley Darby and her son, it's almost like an incestual thing. Not only that, she's calling out Ashley Giselle for fake storylines. It seems as if the peace between the OGs is no longer here. Jordan is speaking out in a new interview with Carlos King. Is anyone surprised? You know, on social media, she talked about how she didn't believe that Ashley really did sleep or kiss, because we found out later from Ashley that she ended up having more than a smooch with Jackson, Sharice's son. Well, now in this new interview and a few couple of clips that we'll play for you, Sharice is now saying that she feels as if this was inappropriate. And I have a feeling that some of y'all are watching the channel, even though I do know some of you housewives watch the channel, because some of my speculation, and if I said if the tables were reversed, specifically if like a Michael Darby was sleeping or kissing one of Giselle's daughters, how would people feel about it? Because a lot of people were saying, oh, ew, this is gross. But then there were some people saying, well, they're grown adults. Okay, and they are grown adults. But Sharice's take on this is pretty interesting, especially when she starts taking digs at her former friends. Let me play one of the clips for you.
He has been lying for 10 years. So when she's saying...
She says this about Ashley.
...this to me, I'm honestly waiting for the prank, or I did not believe her.
Here's the thing, because I don't want to rewrite history here, because remember, when this is all exposed on the show, they flash back to 2 days earlier or something like that, and Ashley spills this tea in a recorded scene between them having this sort of lunch. So it's very clear that Sharice is still in the mix. She's filming this season because she's been at a few of the different events, and she's filming this scene with the two other OGs. So they filmed that scene. Ashley reveals that she smooched Sharice's son, and she said, would you be mad if it was more than a smooch? So clearly, I don't know if I believe this whole narrative that Sharice is trying to spin, that she didn't believe it, because it was mentioned in that scene. Then you call out the fact that Jackson's there at this family fun day event. You're like, Ashley, look who's here. And then when they're having their own separate conversation, you walk up on her too. So I don't believe that you didn't believe something happened. Okay, but I think you didn't realize the amount of backlash you might receive or hear about in the comment section when it came to it airing.
And in my head, I'm thinking, I know she is not that desperate for a storyline, that she's bringing my son into this. For the record, my friends, none of them would ever do such a thing. The way that I grew up, when your friends' kids become your kids. You know what I'm saying? No matter what.
I will say this too. In the interview, she has way more makeup on than she did in these film scenes. So she knew she was coming. She knew that she was coming to, that this people would be talking about this interview today.
The ages, they become your kids. And so to be interested in your friend's kid that you now consider like a brother or nephew, it's ancestral to me. Part of me wants so bad to believe that this is just another stunt of hers and that it's not true. But, you know, I was talking to Robin the other day and she said, well, don't be
regular Robin.
Naive, Sharice. Don't be naive, you know, because
does Robin think it's true?
Well, yeah, of course she does. Probably talk to Giselle. That's where Robin would know her information from.
If the roles were reversed that if a man was friends with a guy and his daughter was 15 when he met her and then started kissing her at 25 and he's 35, a lot of people would not have this the same reaction they're having with Ashley and Jackson. Would you say that there is this double standard when it comes to that?
Absolutely. If a 30 or older, 10-year older guy came on to one of Giselle's daughters, it wouldn't have happened. Even the standards are different for different people too. Like on the show, if someone would have made out with Giselle's, one of her daughters, we probably wouldn't have heard about it because they wouldn't have wanted that trashiness on the show.
That just confirms what people have speculated in regards to Giselle really controlling what is shared about her life on the show and her controlling what we see on the show. But she had more to say in regards to Giselle and Ashley on the show.
With their friend, we're friends. Their friend's son. You know, it's just, it's tacky. But again, Carlos, I really didn't believe the story. And I think, honestly, part of me wants to be in denial about it, honestly, because I don't want to believe that she could be that low to want to use my son for a storyline. Because
has she met Ashley? Ashley is the lowest of the low. And I think we see it more and more as the seasons go on. It's just like, mind you, all of this can be seen in regards to Ashley's character from season 1. It's just gotten worse because no one has really checked it.
When Andy, I saw on Watch What Happened Live. I always say that wrong. Watch What Happens Live. He asked her, did I know? And then she said something about, if she looked at her camera lights in her house. So now you're implying that you done had my son in my house. See, this is the shit you should have said when we were sitting in the restaurant if you wanted a reaction. Not, Jackson kind of kissed me. That, type of thing. But now it's a whole, it's crazy. Well, yeah, of course she does.
What about Giselle? Have you spoken to Giselle about this?
She's probably talked to Giselle. That's where Robin would know her information from.
Okay.
But just because it's coming from Giselle don't mean it's necessarily true either, because her and Ashley sit in the laboratory and create stories for everybody except themselves, really. So it is what it is,
I know.
This was the other way around, and it was Jackson was Ashley, 37, and Ashley was Jackson, 27, the woman. The roles reversed. People would see this thing so differently. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, for me, when she's telling me, I'm in a sense thinking about my own life at 25. At 25, Carlos, do you know, I was dating their father.
I think, again, Teresa's reading the comment section. She's seeing the commentary in regards to her reaction or lack there of a reaction. And look, I could understand maybe in the initial scene where it was just you, Giselle, and Ashley, you kind of been like, what? I don't understand. Yeah. But then for it to come up later, and you're not new to reality television. If you were like an Angel, this is your first time doing reality television, then I could understand your lack there of a reaction. But now it feels like you're trying to do damage control in regards to the backlash that maybe you're receiving or seeing in your comment section about this situation. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal, Charisse, for you to, if anything, you're now dragging this out, and now people are going to say you're only doing this in order to get back on the show. What stood out to me from the clips that I saw when it comes to this interview was the fact that she called out Giselle, and it made me think, wait, but isn't Giselle the reason why you even filmed the season? Let's be honest. The only reason why Charisse has been welcomed back onto this show multiple times over the years is because Giselle keeps bringing her back. So I'm not sure if she's taking shots at Giselle in order for producers to be like, oh, let's bring Charisse back next season. I don't think so. Because they've consistently kept bringing Giselle back and not you. I don't know what she wanted to do here. If anything, now we could have moved on from this blip of a story and just let people drag Ashley for doing what she did. But now you're dragging yourself into this, maybe on purpose. And now we're continuing with this conversation about Ashley sleeping with your son. Look, he's a grown adult. He's a grown adult, and Ashley's going to Ashley all the time. Predatory behavior, per usual. Giselle, do you want to take back that statement you said about Stacey not being safe around husbands and children? Just asking. Guys, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this latest Real Housewives. We didn't have a new episode this week, but we had so much tea when it comes to Real Housewives of Potomac. Make sure you check out the Real Housewives Ultimate Recap that we did yesterday with the Brooke Ashley and Taria Faison from the What Else Is Going On podcast. You can find it here on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to hear it on the Kempire podcast. So it looks like the Real Housewives of Atlanta media rollout begins. Our friends over the Neighborhood Talk has an exclusive report that Shamea Morton and Porsha went to blows during their recent group trip for the new season. So last night we had the breaking news that Porsha and apparently Shamea, their fallout from their friendship continues in season 17. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I will share my thoughts in a moment. You know, at the end of the season, at the reunion, it didn't feel like they had any sort of resolve between Shamea and Porsha. If anything, it left a lot more open. Hence why I think was part of the motivation to continue this storyline and to bring Shamea back this season. You guys will let me know if you even are interested in seeing that, because personally, I'm not. I wasn't even really interested in seeing Shamea return. And it's not because Shamea isn't a good person. I just don't feel like she landed well with me and the audience last season. She was very cringy to watch. But some of you are now saying Kiarna's even cringier. I don't know, because I just remember seeing the video that Shamea did after the reunion. Remember where she had her mom praying over her, and then she apologized to the entire cast?
Oh, I just want to start by saying to all of the ladies on Sweet 16 cast, starting with Porsha, Drew, Angela, Britt, Kenya, Cynthia, Kelly. I'm sorry. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Phaedra even coming in at the end. I'm sorry. If I've ever offended you, if I've made you feel less than, inferior, if I insulted you, hurt you, in any way, I'm sorry. And I hope that we can start fresh. And I wish you nothing but the best. And that prayer, I hope it leaves this room and enters into your heart and your household. And that's a wrap on Sweet 16.
So I don't know where it goes this season, but according to the Neighborhood Talk, it goes to blows between the former best friends, women that actually grew up with each other. And I always go back and I think about what Angela said during the after show last season. And she says she feels as if Shamea played the long game in being on this show and remained friends with Porsha so that eventually she would get her spot on the show. And now that she has her spot, she's no longer interested in a friendship with Porsha. That is speculation, because do I think that Porsha is completely innocent in the downfall of this relationship? No, I don't. But let's see what the Neighborhood Talk is reporting. So last night in their exclusive, they reported this. And sidebar, they also report that Drew is the reason why these two ended up not making contact with each other. Not tiny little Drew. So according to the Neighborhood Talk CEO, Kyle writes this. He says, neighbors, y'all know I keep my ears out in these streets, and the tea is brewing down in the A with our Southern Belle Peaches, specifically with Porsha Williams and Shamea Morton. Last season, we saw that their lifelong friendship deteriorate before our eyes, and viewers can expect to see the continuation of the fallout on this upcoming season. With things escalating to the point that hands were almost thrown. And here's the thing, because when I get my exclusives, I will let you guys know. I'm not jumping for exclusives. I don't remember, but I feel like either I saw this on X and someone said this, or someone told me. I can't remember, but I just knew I wasn't going to run with the tea. Because I also feel like behind the scenes, production, sources, the cast leaks the stuff to particular people in order for it to get out. But I think sometimes the sources are disappointed because sometimes they'll come to me with stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, good to know. I'll keep it in the back of my mind. Because I'm not itching and scratching, not to say that they are. I'm not itching and scratching to get this information to you unless there are just so many pieces to it. I'm like, oh no, we need to talk about this. But that's me. But I just feel like I heard this story before in regards to the Scotland trip. And I can't remember where I heard it, but anyway. So they said last season we saw their lifelong friendship deteriorate before our eyes. And apparently things got spicy during filming this season. So according to Kyle's source, they said down in the A, told me that during their cast trip in Scotland, Porsha and Shamea got into a heated, nasty old argument. And it got to the point where the two almost put the paws on each other. But Drew Sidora stepped in the middle before laces went flying, baddie style.
Hell no.
They say, where is the season 17 trailer? Which stood out to me because I'm like, yeah, the season 17 trailer is probably coming out in January. So the timeliness of this story making it to the blogs, and this is what you got to do. You make it to one of the top Black blogs on social media. This is where you're going to get the information. And now here we are talking about it. So the promo for this, do I believe that there was something that happened? Yes. But the rollout, I feel like, is now beginning for the new season to get people excited because no matter what production or Andy wants to say about the live viewership, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, is giving us a clear indication of a decline in viewership across the board. Okay? But anyway, and it's not like that many people are excited about the new season of Atlanta coming back, especially without Nene. People are more excited about Nene returning to the network in some shape or form than they are excited about the new season of Atlanta, just being honest. Especially because they're not making a lot of changes to the cast. But I will say the only thing that's gotten me a little excited is the fact that they're incorporating K. Michelle. And I'm not saying that K. Michelle is going to breathe new life into the show, but I'm excited to see her implementation into this group. And here we are. Y'all are worried that K. Michelle was going to stink up the place with Love and Hip Hop, and it's the people that have been on the show for a long time that are fighting.
Yup.
Just saying. But what can you expect for the new season? Here's the thing. What stood out to me, because I saw this interview that Porsha did with Entertainment Tonight, and she's talking about what her storyline would be for this season. And part of her storyline is going to be her new relationship that she's in. So she talks about the new relationship and she talked about being transparent, which to me stood out because you remember when Porsha and Shamea had their little sit down last season, I was blindsided, and I'm sure Porsha was blindsided when Shamea says, I wish the real Porsha would show up. I remember you telling me they would have to pay you more in order for you to show that side of yourself on this show. And everyone's just like, okay, so what side are we getting? What more could there be? And pay you more? You're the highest paid on this cast. But take a listen to what she said to Entertainment Tonight.
If I'm doing it a little bit slower, let me do it slow. Yeah. So I will say, yes, we're dating. We're enjoying each other. We are very close.
And is she the only person you're dating?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm exclusive.
How does it feel to be booed up for cuffing season?
I love it. I love it. You know why? For many reasons.
I know it's got a grind, Simon Gabaria's gears, the fact that she's up in this house that he bought. And, I mean, he agreed to it in the prenuptial agreement, and now she's got a whole stud in his house.
I'm sorry. I had been divorcing for a whole year and a little bit over a year. And that's a very lonely time because, you know, not only, you shouldn't date, I couldn't date. I was numb. So when I started to feel like myself again, I wanted to be as true to Porsha as I could be. I honestly just want to do what felt natural. Of course, I knew it was a big deal for me to bring her onto the show and, dating me on the show, or anybody I would bring on the show dating me. But I have always been open and honest when it came to Housewives. I have always let the cameras really just get to know me. And
not according to your bestie, Shamia.
Always been transparent, and I just really didn't want to leave that part out. And to be honest with you, being that I've never dated a woman before, dated. I've been with women before, but not dated.
Yeah, and especially in the public eye.
Yeah, it felt liberating to me to live out loud in that moment. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just know that it felt right. I felt comfortable. She was down for it.
Before we get P back.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm not saying that I'm excited to see what this will be. It feels like, and this could just be the water sign of Porsha or just Porsha's personality. When she gets into a relationship, she just can't help to be knee deep in that relationship and share everything on social media. I think that's part of the reason why people feel like, okay, here goes Porsha again. Her personality switches with whoever she's with. Because before she was Nigerian with Simon Gobadia. Before that, she was the Stepford wife for Cordell. And it's very interesting to watch. But some of you know personalities and friends. You have friends very much like Porsha, that their personality seems to shift and change whoever they're with. Porsha's never going to unblock you, Kempire. I know. It's okay. Maybe she'll unblock me for the new season like she did last season. Porsha's the only, that I know of, is the only celebrity that has blocked me, unblocked me, then blocked me again. That I know of. Because again, I would have to check. I would have to follow you in order to know. I didn't follow Porsha though. I just happened to check. I'm like, oh damn, she blocked me again. Former Real Housewives Potomac star Candiace Dillard-Bassett is speaking out in regards to whether or not she will return to the reality series. But not only that, she's also slamming the production company that produces Real Housewives of Potomac and Atlanta. Kempire After Dark, a live show returning to New York City on March 13th at the Green Room 42, a night of hot topics and more. Get your tickets today. Meet and greet tickets are available, and a live stream is available exclusively for this show. So if you are anywhere in the United States or the world, no matter where you are, you will have an opportunity to be a part of our unfiltered night of hot topics. Get your tickets today. More information will be available in the description. So yesterday we rang in the new year together. You can still watch that video here on YouTube. And I told you guys I was working on a video because I saw this story break yesterday evening. And look, it was the holidays. I know all of you were preparing for what you were preparing for. Hopefully you all made it back safely and you're feeling good this morning or good this afternoon, whenever you're watching this, or evening. And I said I have to talk about this because I feel like I see such mixed reactions on whether or not people want to see Candiace Dillard-Bassett return to Real Housewives of Potomac. And I will preface this video by saying, put your producer's hat on, guys. It's not because you don't like her, but does she actually bring something? Does she invoke a feeling in you? Maybe it's a strong feeling of like, oh, she just makes me so mad. But then she makes me laugh. Or then she's the only one on this cast that will throw an actual decent party. Or she's the only one that could actually read the girls. So I always see a mix. I'm going to do a poll. I'm going to do a poll on our post tab because I really want to see, because I see such mixed reactions in regards to whether or not people want to see Candiace return. And one of the things I've said, especially with everything that's going on with Dr. Wendy Asefo, her legal issues, her recent arrest, I said she's going to need a lot of people behind her because I don't trust Giselle. Yes, they bartered this new friendship, but I don't believe that's a real, true, diehard friendship. Ashley, you can't trust her with anyone, including your children.
Hell no.
And we also know that Wendy doesn't have a deep relationships with Angel or Kiarna, and I'm not sure if they're even returning for next season. And the last we saw from Karen and Wendy were not in the best place. The only person that seems to have her back right now is a Stacey. And I don't know if that's going to be enough for the season that Wendy's going to probably go through next season. But let's get to what Candiace had to say, because you know I'm a huge Traitors fan. I love Traitors. I'm looking forward to the new season. It comes out next week, a week from today. Love Traitors. She's going to be a part of it. So she spills some tea about that, and then she talks about whether or not she would come back to the Real Housewives of Potomac. So let's get into that first part, because there's some more things that she said.
Now, you, if I'm not mistaken, you start off 2026 popping, because Traitors airs literally, is it the first week of January, the first full week?
It's technically the beginning of week 2, January 8th.
Yes. That's what it, yes, January 8th.
Yep, is Traitors season 4 day. So if you don't have your Peacock subscriptions lined up, get your little $8 or whatever it is and get ready for that. It is going to be a really good season. I know I keep saying this, but truly, and today I had a conversation recently with one of my castmates, and it was just so funny to relive and kind of recalibrate where we were together. And just like the twilight zone of an experience that it was. And also just like reminded me of what I have always said about this cast, is that our cast is so awesome and so great. So I can't wait for you guys to see it. We're also going to be shooting the reunion at some point, and I'm excited to get... I want to see the show. Like, I'm excited to see the show. But then once the show airs and I see what people have said, it's kind of like Housewives in that you don't know what other people were saying about the show and about you until you watch it. So I want to see that. I want to see like all facets, every like pocket and silo, and then go to this reunion. And I declared that I would be cussing somebody out.
Yes, you.
I stand by that. But
it makes me wonder who, because she recently spoke about her issues with Porsha, and she said it was something that Porsha said on Real Housewives of Atlanta about Angela's husband, and saying I should sleep with Charles Oakley, blah blah blah, whatever. She said that was the reason why she unfollowed Porsha. But I think that something happened during this season of the Traitors. So I'm wondering to see who she's going to cuss out, but you just never know, because there's so many different personalities. There's so many people from other shows, not just Real Housewives, that are a part of this season. And she doesn't confirm whether or not, because she can't, if she is a faithful or a traitor. I happen to know what it is, but I can't spill it. But anyway.
I'm also open to, if I see the season and I'm like, oh, you made sense, I'm willing to, go sit on the couch and not cuss them out. Don't think that's going to happen though, because I really do feel like this person is the epitome of raggedy and moldy and just trifling, and they're going to get what's coming to them. And I will be glad to deliver the message.
And this is what I was saying before. I feel like this is what we kind of miss in regards to Candiace's confessionals and just the energy, the wit, the intelligence in her reads. Yes, and I'm not saying I haven't forgotten that sometimes she goes way below the belt, but a lot of these housewives do. A lot of them do. Doesn't mean that we can't forgive, not necessarily forget, but I'm actually looking forward to see who's she going to read down. I think her confessionals and her interactions are going to be very interesting. I'm very much engaged with this new season. More so, Porsha's going to be there. More so because, and look, that's the great thing about Traitors. We're introduced to reality people that we never knew before. At least me. I know some of you watch some of these other shows on other networks, but there are some people I get familiar with, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this person. But the way that Candiace is talking lets me know she didn't win. Oh. Or did she? She could be throwing us off the scent. But just the energy, what I'm sensing, she didn't win, and she feels like someone probably did her dirty. Just saying.
So yes, tune in for all of that. I'm really excited. I'm excited to start the year that way. That it's a great way to I'm opening the year for a lot of you. And a lot of people have come up to me this year and just shown me so much love as it relates to my time on reality television. And you've said so many kind things about my time on Potomac and how much you miss me on Potomac and I need to come back to Potomac. So, and all I've had to say is, well, you'll see me in January. So I'm glad to finally be able to like deliver that to people. And it's always humbling, and it always just feels really nice to meet you guys in the street and, you know, on the internet and wherever, and have you all pour into me that way. So it feels great. I do not have any plans to return to Potomac at this time. I say that, you know, as someone who believes firmly in never saying never. I'm not saying it will never happen, but what I'm saying is, as you all are badgering and beating down my door to come back like yesterday, I am not having those conversations. I am having conversations about other things and other projects and other ideas and other endeavors that I'm really excited about. One of them being The Traders. And there's a lot to look forward to. And I like, this year for me was challenging. But also rewarding. I feel like I fully stepped into motherhood this year, and not just like the aesthetic of it, but like the job description of motherhood.
I think that, and that's because when I say put your producer's hat on, y'all, part of me wants to see, because we've seen basically Candiace grow up on reality television. When I say like in her earlyhood, and when it comes to getting married, going on the baby journey, she's now had the baby. We didn't even get to see her pregnancy journey. We only got to see like the very beginning of it. We didn't see her in motherhood. So my producer hat is, and not that I'm a producer, what I'm saying is I would be interested in seeing the follow-up to that story. And some of you was like, ain't no one badgering you to come back. There are people that miss Candiace, especially with how much they are disliking a Giselle or an Ashley specifically. They feel as if Ashley has gotten emboldened because no one is really there to gather her. I think she's still falling short. Maybe we don't have the people there to read her for filth like Candiace, but she's still falling short. She still is. Every time she comes for Stacey, everyone was just like, really? Really? It's not landing. She keeps falling flat on her face. So Candiace had more to say. For those that may have listened to the episode or maybe just saw that particular clip where Candiace says that she has no plans to return for next season. It's still a little early, because I'm not saying, you can't say that never say never, because literally they haven't even filmed the reunion. And that's when they start figuring out what the next season's going to look like. So you just never know between now and the spring, when they start filming, what conversations could be had. And sometimes these housewives put it out there to get the fans riled up in order to bring them back. But so many of you speculated that Candiace was fired from the show, and I keep telling you guys, she was never fired. They would have loved for Candiace to return. Giselle would not love for Candiace to return. That she said that clearly, that she would prefer Monique over Candiace returning. But Candiace was not fired from the show. Candiace really made the decision, and I don't blame her, to have a healthy pregnancy. You saw how dark it got towards the end of her tenure on the show when it comes to the accusations against her husband and things like that. And the other element that people do not realize, yes, bravo, being a housewife is an epic opportunity. It opens up a lot of doors for you. It's a good check. But there's a lot of stress around being a part of this show. And she talks about that. And she more specifically calls out production.
Hey, look what happened to so-and-so. I'm going to get the Cliff Notes. Now, did you see recently that my former boss, Miss Francis, who's like the head bitch in charge
about Nene,
said that basically the door is back open, child, for Nene to return. She was asked point blank, and she answered in her, because she's British, or she's English, she's got a British accent, and she answered and said that there is hope. If Nene were to make even an appearance, I would be tuned. I'd be locked in for that. Like that would get me to sit down and actually go back into the fold. Now, and I'll be honest and say that I don't have the greatest taste in my mouth with not Bravo, but our production company. And our production company produces Potomac and Atlanta, as well as others, other shows. And so I'm not in a rush to be watching their stuff because
this is work for you.
It is
like going back to your job.
Yes, you all forget. And I said this on an Amazon Live recently, and I will address this again here because people were saying from listening to our podcast that I'm acting like I don't watch Potomac. And girl, you be watching the show. Girl, you need to suck my big toe. That's what you need to do. Because I'm going to just ask you this question. When you leave a job, when you leave a position, are you still checking the emails at that job? Are you still in the group chat with your old coworkers? I mean, maybe if y'all were cool, but for the most part, no. You move on and you go to your new job and you ingratiate yourself to those people and those things and you move forward. So why, pray tell, on Beyonce's Green Earth and Gods, would I sit and watch work? That it's not to, and the luster, the allure is gone for me. And I would venture to say that, for even when I was on the show, I stopped enjoying watching it because it was like, oh God, I have to sit and watch this so I know what this bitch said about me and I can get ready to cuss her the fuck out at the, like, it wasn't fun anymore. It was not fun to watch. It became toxic and work-like and I didn't enjoy it. So I don't want to watch. Any Housewives?
Like any of them, have you seen like a clip or like a Salt Lake maybe? Or if that
no,
it all feels like work.
It all feels like you watch it and you know how what really happened. Like, that wasn't really like that. That didn't happen like that. I'm very jaded.
That makes sense. It was your job.
And I'm okay with that. I'm not upset about it. I just don't need it in my life. Now, do I get the highlights? Of course, because I am a human being, a millennial human being who is on social media. And I have a podcast where I keep up with pop culture. So when pop culture moments pop up, i.e. my castmate getting arrested or my castmate getting out of jail or my castmate doing whatever, like, yes, I'm going to have an opinion on those top line highlights. But am I sitting down on Sundays at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever time it comes on? No, I'm not. And the fact that you think that I am just speaks to how much of a fan you are, that you couldn't fathom the idea that I would leave a show and leave the show where I left it. But that is actually what's happening.
No, I've actually told them it's her.
I completely understand. Here's the thing, and I know some of you will be like, well, that was the nail in the coffin. She's never going to come back. But I've said this to you guys countless times. I even heard this from truly original producers. They don't make the judgments when who's hired or fired from the show. That's not up to them. That is up to people like Andy Cohen. That is up to Bravo executives. If Bravo wants to work with a Nene Leakes or with a Candiace Diller-Bassett, even though they may be slammed in the media, or the fact that Nene said that they did certain things to her in her lawsuit, if Bravo makes a decision because they feel like it's going to line their pockets, make them money, they will work with that person. I.e., they're working with Candiace on The Traitors. That is under the NBC Universal umbrella. Peacock is owned by NBC Universal. So I know some people are going to be like, oh, she's never coming back. She's never going to. No. She knows. She knows where her bread is buttered. The network wants to work with Candiace. So if they would like for Candiace to return, those are going to be conversations that happen with Candiace and the network and NBC Universal. So immediately I know people were like, oh, there it goes. She's never going to come back. I was like, no, because if she does end up coming back, that will be a decision above Truly Originals' heads. Yes, they are in charge of the production of things, but they're not in charge of the hiring and firing. I've heard that directly from executives over there at Truly Original. I've heard that. So I'm not surprised that she feels this way. Some of you feel this way about the production, but a lot of you are also confused as to what production actually does, as opposed to blaming the right people. Because I always tell you, some of what you're seeing, very much like the hiring and firing, some of what you're seeing and what they chose to focus on is above Truly Original. Truly Original is coming in and getting all of the content. It's the network saying, like, well, let's focus on this. Let's do this. So they're really just there, sort of like the handlers, for lack of a better word. So I was a little surprised that this was Candiace's feelings towards the network, because the last time I actually saw Candiace in person was at a Truly Original premiere party, which was for Summer House Martha's Vineyard, because a lot of you keep asking me about that. I have not heard any word on that coming back. But that last time I saw Candiace in person, she was at that rap party. But she could have been there just to support the cast. But she was also, at the time, still on the network. And you know who also I met at that party? Sharice. And I told you when I met Sharice, she was lovely. But I think Sharice just knows how to hobnob with the people. Sidebar. I did want to mention this because I'm not going to do a separate video because I know a lot of you will hit me up. Kempire, did you hear Britt Eadie's getting a divorce from that man? Ooh! I did hear that. Some of you tried to send me the post, but apparently I found out that I'm blocked. And it had to be recent because I know I've seen her posts before recently. So it must have been recently. Is she mad because we didn't cover her lawsuit moving forward with Bravo? Girl, you're not that interesting. And when we do our wall of the people that blocked me, you will not be on it because I won't. You're a blip. You're a blip. No one cares. Okay? No one cares. I've been blocked by Better. Okay? I've been blocked by the Anita Bakers. I've been blocked by the Keisha Coles, the Tamar Braxtons, and Better Housewives. Porsha blocked me twice. Oh my goodness, guys. Happy New Year. What a way to start the new year. Tyler Perry is fighting back and he's revealing his own text messages. Well, TMZ has gotten their hands on some text messages where Mario Rodriguez, the accuser in the latest lawsuit asking for $77 million, according to Mario, he was also SA'd by Tyler Perry. We have to unpack some more of the text messages that were actually revealed in Mario's lawsuit, because they're pretty interesting. But are they damning? And are they worth $77 million? So it was just a few days ago that we revealed to you that Mario Rodriguez, an actor, an aspiring actor, but mostly model, had filed a lawsuit against Tyler Perry, accusing him of SA, accusing him of harassment, even up until 2024. But we have to unpack some of what was in the actual lawsuit. And shout out to our friends over at Law and Crime. I'm going to play some of the breakdown of what they've discovered in the lawsuit, including some of the text messages that Tyler Perry allegedly sent to Mario. Because I told you that in my previous video, I said, it's interesting. I have to see the complete complaint just to see if there were any text messages included. And there were. And here's another important thing before we even get into all of this and Tyler Perry, the other side of what Tyler Perry is saying in these text messages. It's very easy, especially for our day and age, to read a story from People Magazine or Deadline that just gives you a synopsis of a lawsuit. I'm telling you, you probably would feel very differently if you read through an actual lawsuit and you're like, oh, wait a minute, they didn't include this in the article. And I will tell you, especially when we unpack some of what Law and Crime discovered in the complaint, it does make you kind of go like, okay, so they really, this is not some Tyrone Blackburn lawsuit in regards to how this attorney has presented it to the court. We're going to unpack some of that. But first, for those that may have been under a rock in regards to our previous video, be sure to check out the previous video because we do unpack a lot there. Tyler Perry, as you know, was already sued for $216 million a few months ago by Derek Dixon, who worked on several different Tyler Perry projects, most recently The Oval. His same lawyer is representing Mario Rodriguez, who did one movie with Tyler Perry, but apparently had multiple interactions with Tyler Perry over the last few years. But he's alleging that this particular incident happened, I believe, back in 2016, which is important to note because in 2026, based off the statute of limitations, he might not be able to file this lawsuit next year. Hence why at the last hour of 2025, he's filing this lawsuit. Important to note, okay? So he filed a $77 million lawsuit. Basically, he says that Tyler Perry saw him at the gym and sent someone else to introduce them, okay? That landed him frat boy number 10 in the Madea Halloween movie. He apparently was in talks. This is what was in the complaint, but you didn't read that in the article. Apparently in the complaint, he was going to be in the second version of the Madea Halloween movie, probably, maybe, possibly with a larger role. He says all of that was lost. The other thing to note here, too, is that Mario's not just suing Tyler Perry. He's also suing Tyler Perry's overhead, the parent company that helps distribute his movies, Lionsgate. That's important to note as well, okay? Well, earlier today, if you follow me on TikTok or on Shorts, I posted that there were text messages that were revealed. And these text messages actually were discovered by TMZ. Was this Alex Spiro, who's representing Tyler Perry in this lawsuit, leaking it to the blogs? Who knows? Or maybe someone else. Because what happens after these lawsuits, you see from the celebrity side, they hire these crisis managers. And it wouldn't shock me that Tyler Perry has hired some sort of PR firm or crisis manager, an Olivia Pope. I know you all think that Olivia Pope is not real. No, it's a real person. It's actually based on a real person. But there are these crisis managers that come out, and this is the game. Because not only are they fighting this in court, they're also fighting this in the court of public opinion. So these text messages were revealed to TMZ earlier today, and TMZ ran the story as, well, look, before Mario Rodriguez filed a $77 million lawsuit, he was asking Tyler Perry for money. This is important to note. According to one of the text messages, Mario says this. And Mario, I am so struggling with the fact that there are no punctuations in these text messages, so please understand when I have to pause. He says, this is Mario in the text message, allegedly, we'll say. Brother, haven't been feeling okay, confused and a little nauseous, got blood work, think it's my teeth. I know it's none of your business. I don't know what to do. I know I promised you I would never ask you for anything. But if it is what I think it is, I don't think I could do it on my own because I barely pay my bills. Scared AF. I don't want to get sepsis like my dad and pass away. I don't even want to mention it because I don't want to make it real. So apparently he wasn't feeling well and he knew that he was going to need some sort of care, okay, that he couldn't afford. He says, mind you, when you look at the text messages, because here's the thing, because I know people are going to oh, your team this or no. Because I can see both sides of this situation, especially as we get more and more details. Because at this particular text message, again, there could have been more, if this is even real. It doesn't really say, oh, I got this information, but I'm not going to be able to pay for it. Can you help me? At least not in this text message. So the text message continues. He says, feel sick most days, never told anybody this, but my mom and everybody's starting to notice my broke A. Don't have insurance. I'd never lie to you, but I think that's what's wrong. My dentist is supposed to take care of in Beverly Hills, but he's in prison for fraud. No, not the same dentist that we've talked about in Atlanta who's facing RICO charges. This is a different one. What's going on in the dental field? Is this high crime? Mind you, the dentist in Atlanta is not even a real dentist. I don't know if this dentist in Beverly Hills is one. Now I'm going to have to go on a deep dive. Who is this dentist that's in Beverly Hills that's in prison for fraud? He says, I've always been healthy, but lately I've been waking up confused and dizzy and a bunch of stuff. I just can't go to the doctor because I can't even afford it. I don't want anything. I just want to be okay, he says. So in another text message, allegedly, Mario says, just know that I love you and thank you for everything. I appreciate you to the moon. You got a Mexican out of a lot of bad places, and I just want to tell you thank you. I can't buy you anything, but just want to tell you that your boy right here appreciates you more than anything. Straight from my heart, bro. Nothing I wouldn't do for you, man. Anyways, enjoy your time, and I hope I see you again soon. So allegedly, Tyler responds and says, Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Yep, you've been through it. I'm glad you're doing well. You don't have to give me a thing or pay me a thing. I'm just glad that you're good. He hearts this message. He then says, Mario says, I'm still going through it, but you know me, man. I'm a survivor just like you are, and I'm glad that you're my friend, and I love you, bro, respectfully. So we have to keep in mind these text messages are coming out today because in the actual lawsuit that Mario filed, Mario includes text messages that are allegedly from Tyler Perry, and they're pretty damning. Okay, so I'm going to play this under fair use from our friends over at Law and Crime. I will include the full actual video that you guys can watch it from beginning to end. I'm also going to speed it up just a tad so that we're not here all day with this. But I have to say, and which I love about Law and Crime, they give their legal perspectives on these celebrity cases. And there are some interesting pieces that can be found in the lawsuit, which made me think to myself, I was like, just based off of reading the articles, the world doesn't get a full perspective on what's in the actual lawsuit.
So then the complaint describes things escalating during this solo visit that Rodriguez made to Perry's Los Angeles home. This is key. Now, Rodriguez makes clear that while all of this is going on, he's just really excited for this acting opportunity and to be working with Tyler Perry. So anyway, he allegedly goes over. They have drinks. They go to Tyler Perry's theater room. Now, first, the complaint details this instruction from Perry. He allegedly told Mr. Rodriguez to keep his cell phone in the kitchen because, quote, there are cameras everywhere and they're always listening.
This is literally a quote that's in the lawsuit. Mr. Perry told Mr. Rodriguez to keep his cell phone in the kitchen because, quote, there are cameras everywhere and they're always listening. Law and Crime does mention this too, and it makes me wonder as well if any of that footage, and look, and depending on when this happens, and I know that there are certain buildings and people that just, they record over their stuff after a certain period of time, but that would be interesting.
By the way, if there really are cameras in his house, is that something that could be obtained through discovery and you can have him on camera saying that? I don't know. In the theater, this is important. The suit alleges that Perry began asking deeply personal questions about Rodriguez's childhood and traumas, and Rodriguez became emotional. The suit alleges, quote, Mr. Perry told him, you have a lot of trauma in you, and believe it or not, we have a lot in common. Mr. Perry told Mr. Rodriguez to stand up and said, come here, man, let me hug you. Mr. Perry hugged Mr. Rodriguez and said, it's not your fault. Now listen to this, quote, in the moment, Mr. Rodriguez could not help but feel that Mr. Perry was trying to reenact the famous scene between Matt Damon and Robin Williams from the acclaimed 1997 movie Good Will Hunting. Now, if you haven't...
That is really specific. But here's the other element. If you know Tyler Perry's story, you know the abuse that he's gone through, and if you followed our previous videos, because I did go through the actual lawsuit of Derek Dixon as well, it's not uncommon. Let me put my psychology degree to work here. It's not uncommon, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but it's not uncommon for someone that has been abused to become the abuser.
Good Will Hunting, first of all, you should. It's a great movie. But if you haven't, it's a very famous therapy scene where Robin Williams' character repeatedly tells Matt Damon's character who had been abused in the past that it's not your fault, pulling him into a hug. There's a really big emotional breakdown. And it's meant to be this moment of deep vulnerability and release, which is why you're having this alleged comparison. It stands out. And I will say that level of unique specificity, that can arguably help with credibility if this goes to trial and Rodriguez takes the stand. It's like so strange and so specific. Could he really make this up? Maybe, maybe not. But you go from there. The complaint describes this encounter taking a turn. This is when, according to Rodriguez, it turns physically invasive, with Perry then allegedly rubbing Rodriguez's shoulders and his chest and making comments. And when Rodriguez sits back down, he claims that Perry sat next to him and began rubbing his inner thigh. Now, Rodriguez claims that he then got up and excused himself, but the suit quotes, or allegedly quotes, Perry as being persistent, saying, just relax. I promise I'm a good guy to know and have in your corner. You just need to relax and stop being so tense. Man, if you just come, I would take care of you for the rest of your life, and you wouldn't have to worry about anything, and I know you'll come around. Now, he claimed.
Here's the other element here, guys, because I know I've seen a lot of your comments in regards to Tyler Perry is the richest, he's rich, he's a billionaire. He could have any man in the world. He could take care of whatever, whoever he wanted. But I will say this, because the fact that he's never, not to say that he has to, that he's never really came out. Yes, he's notoriously private. He's never really talked about his sex life. This is the first time where these alleged text messages from Derek Dixon almost confirms for a lot of people that, oh, what I've thought about Tyler Perry possibly being gay, bisexual, it seems like this is what's being confirmed. But that could be deeply rooted in regards to his own perspectives on homosexuality or bisexuality. And it makes me wonder if he has those internal battles and he feels like this is the only way that he can sort of control the narrative in regards to what the world knows about him. And he also realizes that a large sector of people that follow him are people that are Christian or people that are older, and they might not be open to the fact that Tyler Perry could be a part of the LGBTQIA community. Maybe.
That he ultimately left Perry's house, went home, but what happens next? So he says he goes to Atlanta to film in January 2016. And he says that Perry never sexually assaulted him or attacked him on set, which, by the way, also potentially goes to an issue of credibility, right? For someone who may be questioning Rodriguez and questioning if this is true, you could argue, well, if he's claiming that he was assaulted by Tyler Perry, wouldn't he want to, embellish every detail he can? But to say that it started only at this house with his leg being touched, nothing further happening, that nothing happened on set, does it help with credibility, right? Maybe. Now, after the film wrapped, this is when Rodriguez accuses Perry of allegedly continuing to invite Rodriguez over, saying how he might be a good fit for future roles that he's writing. Now, Rodriguez claims that during these visits, they would talk about work, but then also personal things. And from here, he claims that Perry allegedly made sexual comments to him and even asked if he had sex with another man. And then, when Rodriguez apparently said that he was having a baby with his girlfriend, and that Perry allegedly sensed how stressed out Rodriguez was about his financial situation, Perry allegedly said, quote, "If you would just give in to me, I would take care of you. You would never have to worry about anything again." Side note, we don't know if this actually happened. The counter-argument to this would be, Tyler Perry really said that in that specific language that could help your legal claims? Maybe, maybe not. Again, it's all going to come down to credibility and how can they back it up. But Perry also allegedly shared, and this is important, that he himself, quote, was sexually as a kid. And the complaint argues that he was using that shared trauma as a tactic to build trust before making more sexual advances. And then he claims that Tyler Perry sexually assaulted him, like allegedly grabbing his leg right by his private area and allegedly saying, "It's all right." Now, there is no way to truly corroborate that unless there are cameras in the home or it's just the testimony of Rodriguez. This is not like a case, right, where you're talking about maybe DNA or forensics, even though that might be difficult from such a long time ago. But this is really, again, a question of credibility. Now, this is the next part. When Rodriguez claims that he refused these alleged sexual advances, he claims all the acting roles dried up. The suit states plainly, quote, "Because Mr. Rodriguez continually rejected Mr. Perry's sexual advances and assaults, Mr. Perry never hired him for Medea's Halloween 2, despite all their conversations for new roles for Rodriguez." Then we go to this key moment, this key incident that allegedly happened. It's
also, keep in mind, we talked about this in the last video. He's talking, when he says all the acting roles, this was like his only acting role. He's mostly known for being a model. He's talking about, and this is why I said, I think this is part of the reason why we haven't seen a lot of other former actors, if I want to play devil's advocate, or we haven't seen a lot of other former actors come forward. Because if they do have a position with Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios and they are getting a consistent check, being an actor is hard. And if you're an actor of color, it's even harder. So it wouldn't shock me, and I know this is one of the things people have praised Tyler Perry over the years, including Fantasia. Fantasia recently came out, and literally as this lawsuit dropped, she came out to Tyler Perry's defense. My thing is, I feel like a lot of people probably won't say anything because if this language that he's using with Mario Rodriguez is true, I could see some of these people say, I'm not going to say anything. This is a consistent check. I'm not getting other roles from other studios. This is a consistent opportunity. Hence why some people will remain quiet.
About in the complaint that allegedly happened in November of 2018. So after a dinner where Perry allegedly discussed a role for Rodriguez in the Oval show, the Oval series. By the way, Rodriguez said that he was reluctant to go to this dinner in the first place, but thought, you know what, this is a restaurant, it's a public place. He was thinking of his career. And that's important because if Rodriguez takes this to trial and is cross-examined by Perry's attorney about, you claim you're sexually harassed, sexually assaulted, why did you keep coming back if this were true? Well, now he would try to explain it. It's career advancement. I was trying to help my career. I was maybe hoping that this wouldn't happen again, that I'd have a safe place. I'm trying to think of my career. I'm trying to think of my family. Anyway, going back to this. After the dinner, Rodriguez claims that Perry invited him, again, over to his house. And by the way, there is a text exchange that's embedded in this complaint that arguably confirms this meet up at the house. There, the suit...
So these are elements that I was mentioning to you guys before that are important to note, that when you first initially report on a story like this, a lot of you are going to be like, well, no, this is just a money grab, which is what Alex Spiro, Tyler Perry's attorney, also recently represented Jay-Z in that whole Diddy complaint as well, and won. I feel like there are so many little elements that are included in the complaint that would make people go like, but wait a minute. That he actually has actual text messages from Tyler Perry confirming some of these details?
Perry allegedly making explicit sexual propositions. When Rodriguez goes to the kitchen, the suit alleges, quote, Mr. Perry followed Mr. Rodriguez to the kitchen. Then, Mr. Perry tightly hugged Mr. Rodriguez and repeatedly told him to, quote, hold on, while Mr. Perry tried to unbuckle Mr. Rodriguez's pants. And the complaint then states, it alleges, that Perry then grabbed Rodriguez in the genital area. And Rodriguez allegedly said no, he was able to struggle free, and then he apparently calls Uber to go home, and as he waits for his ride, the suit describes this alleged sequence, quote, Mr. Perry tried to apologize for his sexual assault, telling Mr. Rodriguez, hey, my bad, my bad. Mr. Perry, afraid of consequences for his sexual assaults, then stepped away for a minute, returned, and stuffed $5,000 into Mr. Rodriguez's pocket. So, from there, the complaint claims that the next month, Perry invited Rodriguez over again to his house, and there was another embedded conversation text exchange.
I can also see Alex Spiro or the defense team saying, and you took that $5,000, and did when the money stopped coming in is the reason why you filed this lawsuit? Because it seems as if, based off some of these recent text messages, he's helped you multiple times. And the reason why he gave the $5,000 wasn't because of what just happened. It's because he's been helping you. He's been a friend to you. I can see both sides of this on how they would argue this if it even goes to trial.
Seemingly suggesting that. Now, I'm going to read you this next part verbatim from the complaint. I think it's important. Quote, Mr. Rodriguez agreed to go over because Perry had made him believe that Perry was sorry for assaulting him. The $5,000 and reaching out back to him about the situation and making light of it was a sign of Perry's understanding of his guilt and of the mistake Perry made. Even though elusive Rodriguez would be concerned about a worse assault, Rodriguez could not get past the potential of living his dream of being a movie star and the fame and fortune that would accompany him that was being dangled in front of him. Again, very, very important if he's cross-examined about why he kept going back. Now, Rodriguez claims, though, that while at Perry's house, Perry allegedly massaged his shoulders, gave him long hugs, talked about sexual things, and then sprinkled in some stuff about work. And he claims that he would leave the house before things escalated. From there, the suit claims, after another unwanted advance, namely allegedly forcing his hand on Perry's private area in 2018 or 2019, so this is a separate incident. Again, Rodriguez claims he went over to the house because this was his only way to break into the industry, and that Perry allegedly said they were going to talk about potential roles. It says, the complaint says, quote, Perry once again apologized and stuffed another $5,000 in cash in Mr. Rodriguez's pocket and sent him away.
So that was another element from the stories that we reported on. We didn't realize that this was not just the first $5,000. It was another $5,000 payment.
Now, after Rodriguez apparently finally cut off contact with Tyler Perry, the complaint includes these apparent text messages from June 2019 seemingly showing Perry's frustration. So if these are in fact messages between Perry and Rodriguez...
This is important to note, and they actually show the text messages on Law and Crime. Again, I will be citing the source in the description of this video because that's what we do always here on the channel. They show the actual text messages that can be found in Mario Rodriguez's complaint.
Okay, assuming that's what these are, Perry allegedly texts him, quote, I haven't heard from you. And when Rodriguez apologized, Perry allegedly responded, I deserve a text at least once a month. There's also alleged texts from Tyler Perry that say, good night, F off, wanted to give you much S, you never text unless something is going on. A text saying, no, you're busy, just saying hi is what all my friends do. And in the end, Rodriguez claims that he never got.
And if you remember when we went through the other lawsuit, there were some interesting things and words that Tyler Perry uses. And when he says friends, it makes you kind of like, all of your friends.
Additional work from Tyler Perry. And the lawsuit claims that Rodriguez decided to come forward in 2025 with his allegations after learning of that similar lawsuit that was filed by actor Derek Dixon. In fact, and this is in the complaint, a friend allegedly texted Rodriguez about Dixon's lawsuit, and Rodriguez replied, quote, OS, he's at it again, when's he going to learn? Where the friend responded, when he ends up like Diddy, referring to...
And this is also important. Apparently, this text message was back in June 18th, not sure of what year, but this is important to note because very much like other cases, did you tell anyone else when these things happen? So this is sort of confirming time and dates and whether or not you did let other people know that you were allegedly being harassed or SA'd by someone.
Diddy Combs. Now, the final part of the complaint lays out the four legal claims, the causes of action here, what he's suing for. Sexual assault, sexual battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, all against Perry, and there was a fourth claim for negligent retention against Lionsgate. By the way, should be noted the timing of the suit. So it's filed right before 2026. And for example, under California law, you need to file a sexual assault lawsuit within 10 years from the date of the last act or attempted act. And while he describes an incident in 2019, remember, 2015 is when all of this allegedly started and, traced back to that first alleged episode. So I would imagine in an abundance of caution, filing this right before 2026, probably how the suit can maybe go forward. That's just my 2 cents. Anyway, going back to that negligent retention claim. So the argument is that Lionsgate, right, this film distributor, which the suit claims hires and supervises Tyler Perry and benefits from his production of films, they knew or should have known of this alleged misconduct, that they failed to act, and they continued to financially benefit from their relationship with Tyler Perry. And this lawsuit is seeking damages reportedly totaling $77 million. Rodriguez claims.
Here's the element here, too. And we've seen this before, and this might be part of the reason why, like in the Cassie lawsuit, why it was settled so quickly. When you start involving, when you're not just suing someone personally, but you're suing these other companies that just want to get out of the headlines, that might also push for a lawsuit like this one to be settled a lot quicker, because Lionsgate, I don't want any smoke about this. I don't want any involvement in this. And that might push, like, let's settle this. Just give him this. We're going to give you this amount of money. And for all we know, because Lionsgate has not released a statement, as we've told you before, Tyler Perry has released a statement via his attorney, Alex Spiro, claiming that this is just another money grab from the same attorney that's representing Derek Dixon. Derek Dixon's attorney spoke out and said that the claims are alive and well from Derek Dixon, and they just had to move their lawsuit from California to Atlanta because that is where those particular incidents occurred. So we're going to continue to follow this story. I thought it was important for us to give you this update because, like I said before, when you just give a brief synopsis of what the lawsuit was saying, it kind of makes you go like, this is just another money grab. Or when you go through the actual text messages, well, was he inappropriate? Does he deserve $77 million? A lot of people still saying that Derek Dixon doesn't necessarily need $260 million. Here's the thing, though. Everyone that's going to sue, they're going to come out with their most top price because they know eventually they're going to get something much lower. If they came out with just $1 million, then they're going to walk away with, who knows, thousands of dollars. These two would, at the very least, at the end of this, would like to walk away with millions. And do they deserve it? Well, that's going to be up to a court. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for more information on the podcast, head on over to KempireRadio.com.